one show. And that life is what happens to you while you're making other plans. And that the only way to really live life is in the interesting zone. It's nothing, as Shakespeare says, is good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. So it's just, look at you with all your noses, aren't you? Aren't you so hip? Oh, you are so just, you're delicious. I just imbibe you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Oh, you God, you know, I'm, whatever. So, what have we learned? What have we done? What do we think? What comes to mind? Has the class had anything to do with your life? What?
Yes.
It has?
Yes.
In what manner?
Well, I've carried this with me, and I've used it in a restaurant, and yesterday I was at church doing the children's story, and I had it in my pocket, but I didn't have courage enough to put it on. But they saw it afterward. But thank you.
How does that affect you?
Well, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel as if what I do, it doesn't really matter to me or anybody else. I might as well enjoy myself, and if I get a laugh, good.
Good for you. Terrific.
Yes.
Now we have to put on funny hats, a few of us.
Come on, people, that's tepid. This is standing ovation time almost. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I just take from that even what I did this morning at the end of the day, it's not really going to matter in 100 years.
Right. Or even 10.
Or even 5 years. Yeah. Yeah. It's it's important for things to be important, but they're not that important. What is the thing here which is that important?
Heart compassion.
And what do we
Love and
human
compassion.
beings equate with the heart? Yes, say that please, Mary Jane.
Love and compassion.
Love and
But I
compassion.
see the way you would explain the comedic aspects, if you live it constantly, it's everything that happens you see in that light. And that has been fascinating for me, because I would never have thought of it. But you can interpret, translate everything around you in those terms.
I bought a car 2 weeks ago, and I went into sign all the papers, and they asked me if I was who I was, and I said, "Who do you think I am, the Pink Panther?" I'm never going to come out of it without this.
That and that and that. The risk to be outrageous.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't put it on. But I wanted to. I felt bad ever since that I didn't.
The risk to be more alive, to be more compassionate, to be more loving, to be more connected.
The thing I noticed that was kind of funny to me was I put that nose on in front of my stepdaughter and her husband. They didn't even notice.
That's
Blase.
Yeah. And we probably did talk at one point or other about the mind going inside and the mind coming outside, right? The more the mind goes, and we have to do both, but the more the mind goes inside, it's like this.
Yeah.
And it can really focus down to almost this aperture on the outside. And we process. But we need also to be able to go like this. And even that's not enough. It's got to go you know, it's got to go like this all the way around, right? Another way to think of that is life for we human creatures, in fact, I think life for every living thing, at least on planet Earth, is analogous to the headlight on an old-time speeding locomotive train. At midnight on a starless, moonless night in pitch darkness. And if you can go with that imaginative metaphor, if you were that headlight or sitting on top of that headlight on that speeding train, can you imagine what you would see in front of you at midnight, starless, moonless night, going 80 miles an hour? Someone, come on, go with me there and tell me what you would see.
Just with the lights on.
Yes, starting number one, just what the light saw. Okay, now tell me, what would the light see? It would see tracks. Now when I say tracks, what do you see when I say tracks?
A tunnel.
Somebody walking.
More specific, you need to be specific.
Rails.
Rails, yes, you see steel rails.
And ties.
Aha,
Well, what was it?
ties.
Oh, yes.
That the rails sit
On the cross.
upon, right? So you would, yes, you totally would see the rails.
But they'd be getting narrower, so you'd be trapped in perspective.
But even though you're going 80 miles an hour, the headlight on a starless, moonless, pitch black midnight night, that light can only go just so far. You are right. If it were daylight, then you would, and you were in the middle of the Great Plains, you would see that happening, or from your perspective you would see. But on a starless, moonless, pitch black night, I don't think you would see far enough for that, but you would see the rails, and that wouldn't be all. You would also see the railroad ties.
And gravel.
And some gravel probably. Now at 80 miles an hour, how would those ties look to you?
Like a blur.
Yes, you did that with your hand. Do that for us again.
Just flick, 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 right? That's-
And the word flick is very appropriate. Everybody, do that with your hand as they are coming towards you right now for me, and go flick, flick, flick as you do it. Okay? Okay? Yeah? Got it? Flick, 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 flick. What happens after flick, 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 flick? What happens to that tie?
It's gone.
It's gone. It's gone under. And it is now what? In the past. It's in the past. It's history. It's in the past. But what, my friends, is coming up in front of us? More ties. Point your finger now for me imaginatively at the tie which has just emerged into the light, the one farthest away from you. It's not there, is it? It's not quite there. Let's say that that headlight goes out, well, let's say it goes out 150 feet in front of the train at 80 miles an hour. So it's not there in the darkness, is it? Because you can't see that. And it's not right under your feet either, is it? It's out there. And in 2 nanoseconds, where is it? Well, in 2 nanoseconds, it's here. And you see it a little better, don't you? And then in 3 nanoseconds, it's there. And in 4, it's there. And then what is it? It's gone in history. And is that the end of it if you're traveling along? And the answer is?
Yeah.
No, that's not the end. Yes, it's the end of it. It's history, but it's not the end of the story, not the end of the scenario, because there's another, and another, tick, 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 and that's life. That's life. Do you understand? That's life. You understand? I mean, that, you are living your life in a sense like you're the headlight on a speeding train. And the events in your life and the actions you take and the decisions you make are the railroad ties happening, right? Too fast for you to do everything. You can't do it all the time, right? You can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. You can't deal with every single tie. But you can collectively wrap them in the love and the empathy and the passion of your life and encompass all of them. And be aware of the history that they accumulated for you back then and apply that to what you're seeing coming at you now. That's about the best you can do, my friends. It's about the best you can do. The more life and the more years you've lived, the more all of this stuff in the back assembles itself into cogent thinking and becomes part of your philosophy, becomes part of your mind, your heart, your life, your relationships. Yeah? And it moves, and it becomes a river, it becomes a flow, it becomes an experience. And if you wrap it with love and empathy and an awareness, it becomes a dance of the unexpected, unknown. Life is what happens to you while you're making other plans. Play of your life. And you will slow down, and the switcher will go like this, and your train will go off in a different direction. Interesting. And there'll be another fork, and you'll go off that way towards Chicago, and then you'll take another fork down towards St. Louis, or wherever. So that railroad ties, to me, is what it's about. So you have to sometimes take a risk to put that nose on and greet a series of railroad ties as, hey, I'm here. Yeah.
Next time.
It's important then to have time to process it all in the quiet, take the time to process it. And I think old age gives us that when we're retired.
Absolutely. Time to process it. And to use another metaphor, you're going down the two metaphors. One is Niagara Falls and the other is driving at 70 miles an hour on Interstate 91, right? And they have, on Interstate 91, as you're driving south from Montpelier and down 89, and then they'll have these, well, they have, sometimes they have guardrails, but they also have these posts. And even sometimes in between, you'll go to a situation where they have a series of them with lights or reflectors on them, right? And you've ever noticed if you're going 70 or 65, 70, that they come by you like this?
Yeah, they do.
Like that? Have you ever tried this? All right, then a better analogy. Have you ever done this? Have you ever, any of you ever been to Niagara Falls?
Yes.
Never been. Well, you could use it, but Niagara Falls, the river is coming like this, and the water explodes over the edge, and it goes down, and it crashes, and there's incredible a cacophony of sound and an explosion of visual as the mist and everything comes up. Have you ever tried watching a molecule of water and then watching it go down? And then, if you're just looking like this, it goes like this, it goes like that. You know what I'm saying? No, you don't know what I'm saying. You do. If you look at something going by, a train's going by, and it looks like this as you're standing there, it looks like this.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you go like this, you see a lady and she's gone. If you go like this, you can see somebody in a window and hold them for that period of time. If you move with them. Now this starts to get, I guess, into Einstein's theory of relativity, and are we moving, and if you were going into outer space for a long period of time, you would slow down and time would be different and all of that. Well, it's all about, so when you say it's, which you said it's time, it's a time to come in and just meditate and fathom what's going on, and that's stopping that. And the tracks will slow down. They can slow way down, and you can make everything move very slowly. And that's what it's like for me doing comedy on stage. Things just slow down. It seems to you real time, but for me everything is
Shel Silverstein's The Missing Piece is similar to that. Do you know about that? The missing piece? It's about this pie-shaped thing that has a missing piece, a pie-shaped piece missing. And it wants the missing piece so bad. And so it goes ka-clunk, and along the way it sees the flowers and the animals and the people and everything. It just toddles along. And finally it finds its magic missing piece. It puts it in and it goes boom, 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 and it doesn't have time to do anything because it's rolling so fast. It doesn't see or anything. Yeah, it doesn't talk or clicks.
There's another good joke about a train that was told by an Indian man who said, "We're all on the same train and we're all headed for the same destination. But Americans think they're going to get there faster if they run back and forth in the car with their suitcase on their head."
Did everybody get the punchline? Could you hear it? All right. What could you say it again, Christina, but with more projectional shelf?
We're all on the same train. We're all going to the same destination. But Americans, people in American culture, think that they'll get there faster if they run back and forth in the railway car carrying their suitcases on their heads. It says something about our work ethic, I think.
Our frenetic lifestyle.
Frenetic lives.
In your presentation, it's reminding me of the big little books you had when you were a kid that you flipped through the pages, and you could either slow it down and go slowly through the book, or you can go very fast as you flip them all together.
Yeah.
And they only cost a nickel.
Wow.
My brother had a big collection.
So but that was in what, like about 1895 or something? You only look like you're 50, but I realize.
What she said about the Americans with the suitcase running back and forth in the train, it just made me think there are times when I have pressure on me, there's deadlines, there's things that have to be done right, or the sky's gonna fall down, and then there are times when there are lulls, and nothing really has to be done or attended to, and that's when I feel nervous and upset, like something's gonna sneak up behind me and hit me over the head that I'm not thinking of.
Boy, that's almost a disease, isn't it? Probably put me in class with you, Doc. It's like if I'm not doing anything, I'm not okay. I'm not contributing, I'm not counting. There's got to be something I'm doing all the time, constantly. And it's it can produce results, but it's also like the, you know? And then you know, no, bring that one back. Oh, no, ah! Yeah, someone else has.
I wanted to,
Yes.
I've been trying to see how to put this in words. To be part of your class on clowning, on humor and so forth, it's as if we've been invited to do two things. One, take ourselves much less seriously. Just be part of life and relax and so forth. The other direction, or whatever it is take yourself more seriously. See the courage to be. In other words, put on your red nose and do something where you never would have done it before. So, relax, take yourself less seriously, but learn how to be more authentically you and have the courage to be.
Whoa!
All telling the courage to be.
Whoa!
My oldest daughter wants me to put that red nose on in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. None of the others have seen it.
Thank you. I hope you recorded that. And that, and that, and that, and that, and that. Yeah.
Sometimes just seeing things with a clown perspective. Yesterday we were playing Scrabble. My wife says, "Uh-oh, the cat is about to pounce," on the Scrabble game. So I turn to look, and the cat suddenly went, "I'm just licking my paws." That's exactly what you would demonstrate.
When you do become more finely tuned like that, and you live your life a little more on the edge, you begin to open up and to notice more things. I find myself, I've now realized that what I need to do is, I have to take a walk every single day. So I'm taking it in the morning, and I took mine this morning. And whether it's gray or whether it's sunny or whatever else, but I find myself, I guess, motivated by saying, "Come on, wake up, guy." But find myself looking at this or that or the other thing and going, awesome. This particular tree a month ago that I kept going by, and when the light came through it on my bike at one point in the afternoon, it was like, awesome. Last night, Bonnie and I were getting ready to sit down and watch this movie about World War I and the Christmas in the trenches, and she said, come on over here. And I said, what? She said, and she turned the lights in the kitchen off. She said, "Look at the moon." And the moon was rising behind the trees, so that it made this absolute painting, and we just stood and looked at it and just went, awesome. And I think that is kind of the fullness, and it has to do with your empathy and your the love and the sharing of that, and the gratefulness and the appreciation. Yeah, I'm trying the best I can to write a card of appreciation to somebody. Every single day I send out a card to somebody. Like Eugene Newman got an award with the Jazz Center, so I quickly just sent him out a card. Hey, way to go. But yeah.
I'm just reminded of Einstein's quote about two ways to live your life. One is that nothing is a miracle, or looking like everything is a miracle.
I didn't hear all this.
Okay, could you stand up
Project.
and say that with a larger projectional shelf?
Here we go. I was reminded of the quote from Einstein that says there's two ways to live your life. One is as if nothing is a miracle, or as if everything was a miracle.
Oh, yeah.
Slam dunk. Okay, this is just, tell me more about your discoveries from the weeks that we've been together. Yes.
One time during the past few weeks, I think I made a statement, and you started talking about judgment, and I think my statement was probably a judging statement. And that made me think of judging people, or judging life, or just judging an activity, and it's something that I need to work on. And when you look at things and you don't judge them, it's a heck of a lot easier. I'm finding.
Yeah, I personally, up until I met John Hart when I was age 35, and I was in a class and he said, we're just going to talk about two things for these 4 days, about 35 of us. He said, and he wrote the first one up, what do you really want? And he wrote the second one underneath it. The second question was, are you willing to pay the price? And I was so confused but moved by the first class that I did a second one and a third one. I probably did about 20 to 25 classes with him over the next 5 years. And gradually it occurred to me that I had led my life principally as if the it of life were all about me. I don't think I realized it, but I mean, why did those guys beat me up when I was 13? Why can't I read very well? Why am I being teased? Why did Bruce Halverson get the assistantship and I didn't? Why is Joe Baltz a better actor than I am? You know, I mean, all these things all about me. And what I'm really working on now at age 70 with the New England Youth Theater, again and again, with the faculty, with the staff, with the board, and with the students, is it's not about me. It's about the we. The M must be flipped over. The me, M has to be flipped over into a we. It's a delicate delicate dance, because deep down, each and every one of us wants to feel respected. We want our ego intact. Whether you like it or not, that does mean that to some degree, we want to have at least a little slice of the power. We want to be in charge of our lives and have something to do with power. Now, when power grows really large, it can, of course, become abusive. And there's many forms of it. So the dance is, how does a group work as a collective we with a loving, empathetic sharing of the power, so that the whole experience of the group becomes a volleyball game. And in volleyball, you're not allowed to hold the ball. You're not allowed to do that, or the game stops and it's over, or the point is over. So you're allowed, when it comes to your side, to do 3 times, but then it has to go to the other. So I'm constantly thinking, because a director at NEYT wants to know that their show was wonderful, that the audience loved it, that the kids appreciated it, that the parents will support it. And so there is a sense of, I'm not going to stick my neck out too far, but really for the children to get the best of the best, whether it's me or anybody else, it can't all come from me. I need partners working together with them. I need a voice director working with them. I need a costume designer who's brilliant. I need to listen to them. I need an assistant director. I need a stage manager. I need the office to understand. And I have to celebrate and honor every one of those people more than I'm celebrating me, and that's tough, because my insecurity says, if I lose control, I'll be lost. I'll be lost. If I lose control of me, I won't. And it'll get too unexpected. It'll get too interesting. I won't be able to deal with it. And then the fear creeps in. I'm like, I know I'm not good enough. I always knew that. I know I'm fighting to not feel that way, but I feel like I'm not good enough. I'm not just not. And then I say to myself, like Horatio Alger said, when the British ship was coming down on him with 10 times the guns and And his first mate said, "Horatio, they're gonna blow the rear end of our boat off." And he said, "I have not yet begun to fight." And he said, "Take down sail." They went, "But they're catching." He said, "Take down sail." So they took down sail and slowed up. And the British frigate came zooming on. And we're like, "We're going to kill this SOB for good." And they rolled all their cannon up to the front to blow him out of the water. And the whole weight of all that cannon rolled up front, took the bow of their ship, and they went right down to the bottom. And he went, "See you later." Which is the interesting zone. So, I don't know, I'm spouting a lot of nonsense, but I think that shared experience is good. And when you share the experience of that nose,
Right. We'll tell you what happens.
and don't expect the it that you want to happen. Take it as it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah? Take it as it comes. But it is a miracle. Every person, even imbibing that food at Thanksgiving, every bite, every morsel, every molecule in that food is a miracle. A miracle, you think, where it came from, the seed and the soil and the sun and the water, to the harvest. And isn't it amazing that God said, "I'll take one seed and give it to you, and you put it in, and if you nurture it and water it and prune it and take care of it, it won't give you one seed back. It'll give you 500, 200, 1,000 seeds back." And that is the planting that seed, that little nose of life in your minds. However it goes, it's up to you, it's up to you. But that's Johnny Appleseed, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of what it's... So where are we then? Yes?
Well, let's see if I can ask you the question. You presented that up to 35 you were it was all about you.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you had some kind of an epiphany to
Yep.
realize. I'm interested in that point, that what causes people, the variables that cause a person to change, to look at the situation and realize it's all about me. Now I've got to think beyond that. So I think I'm asking you, in your case, what caused you to do that? You might not want to reveal it.
No.
But I think that's, again, it's the same thing that I brought up before. We have to process these things in the quiet and look at things, tie them up in little bundles, or first understand ourselves and where we're at and where we want to be. But that's necessary to get to the next stage of, it's not all about you, it's about everyone. So I'm interested in what caused you to change. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, very clearly.
Something earth.
When life is all about me, or any of you, or life is about you, I could suggest that perhaps a lot of life can be a battle, and you can be, because it's about you in relationship to other people, you can judge them, right? They're hurting you, they're helping you. They don't count, you know, okay? So something was missing. I was angry a lot of the time and very judging. And my relationship to Bonnie, we'd moved to the farm, became same old, same old, same old. Even though now we had 2 boys. It was, you know, we'd been married in 1967, and that was 1980, and we had 2 boys, young boys. But it was not going well, but I had no idea why. It was same old, same old. And it is a fact that if you keep on doing what you've been doing, you'll keep on getting what you've been getting. But usually we don't get off that treadmill. It's about me, and as Tony Montanaro, my mime teacher, said, so you've got to be aware, Stephen, that life and the way you behave, and I didn't understand him, is like an old coat. And you put that old coat on, and you've had it on for a long time. These are your defenses, this is your anger, this is your holding on, playing it safe. But that coat is not serving you, but it becomes so comfortable that the thought of, even that you've got it on, because it's your whole personality, but even if someone points out, a psychologist says you've got this old coat on, you don't want to take it off, because it's comfortable. But Tony said about every year you need a new coat. John Hart said to the class, every 10 years, each and every one of you has to be, so, excuse my vernacular here, but it's not too bad. Every 10 years you need to be stripped naked and dropped without anything but your naked self in Bayonne, New Jersey. And left to fight your way out. Which is the if poem. So he gave me the if poem, which started my transition, which is if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. And the Bayonne, New Jersey thing is if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build it up with worn out tools. That was John. Drop you in Bayonne, work your way back. You've got all this money, it all goes away. Start all over again. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, then yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So I started to think about that poem, and I started to read it every single day. And I was having my turn, and I was in the center of the room, and I started to say, but and he got up from his seat, and he walked right to the center of the room. It was in Mary Sargent's cabin up in Marlborough. All these people around. Will Fielding was there, who just died of cancer. Esther Fielding was there. Penn Caddy Webster were there, all these people. Casey Moreau was there. And John Hart walked up and he slapped me across the face, like that. I was like, wow! And I went, oh, and I fell down, and I was a heap on he pulled me up on my feet and slapped me a second time and said, you asshole, what are you doing? You idiot. You are a wisp. Wallowing in self-pity, a wisp, wallowing in self-pity. You've got a great wife, you've got kids, you've got everything. This country provides you miracle upon miracle. You fool, what are you doing? You know. And in the course of the class, everybody said, you're an artist. You're not a farmer. No, but I'd invested everything. When we left the farm, we were living on $2,500 a year, every single year. Everything else we raised. Only enough for gas, basically, and electricity, you know. But when I left penniless in 1980. I finished the class, decided it was enough, went back, told Calvin and Jillian Farwell, I'm going to leave, I'll be out of here within a week. And Calvin said, you can't take a stick of the firewood with you. And I'd split 10 cord of it to heat the Baldwin Chalet on the East-West Road. And he said, that grew on this property, it's Arden property, and you will not take a single stick of it. You can steal it, but I'll know who stole it. And I went, ew, and I walked all the way up to my cabin, and I stopped and I thought, you know, he's given me so much. He's taught me so much. I love Calvin. That wood will burn up in one winter. But if I take it, or if I hold him responsible for ruining my life because I can't take it, the hatred that I feel for him will burn up my heart and soul and mind for the next 30 years till I die. It will eat me up. It'll be a cancer that will eat me up, and every time I see him on one side of Main Street, I will cross to the other side so I don't have to be with him. And I turned around and I walked right back and I knocked on the door and he came out and I said, you know, Calvin, you're absolutely right. The wood stays here, it's yours, and you can have the tractor and the chainsaw. And I was thinking of cutting down all the apple trees, and I was thinking of destroying all the blueberry bushes and all the raspberry bushes and everything, but you know, that is, I don't think I said all of that. I was saying in my head, I went up there going, I'm going to just reverse everything I did over the last 5 years. No matter what it is, I'm going to destroy it before I leave. That son of a... And I walked back and I went, what did you learn in the class? What did you learn about forgiveness? What did you learn about not judging? And I went, you've got to live it. You've got to live it. You can't simply, you've got to turn that me into the we. And I got back and I knocked on the door. He came to the door and he said, what do you want? And I said, you're right. It's all yours. It's fine. I love you. This has been amazing. You've been such an important part of my life. And I just stepped right up and I gave him a big hug. And then I looked at him and I walked back. When I got all the way back up past the barn and all the way up to my cabin up there, and he was at the door of the big farmhouse, he was still there, standing there going. And when we moved out, every other family that had left the commune, he never was in evidence. Their entire family was gone. When the moving truck came up for anybody else to leave, the Farwells weren't in evidence. And when we left, he was the first one there and the last to leave. He showed up with his van. He worked like a dog. He moved us, everything, and so did the whole family. And I said, you know, so what John Hart did was he said, look, to every one of us, that coat, that Montanaro coat is your position. This is your position. This is how you've lived your life. You need to step off your position and look back at that with a cold light of day eye. You need to look at it and say, yeah, like that, keep that, get that, get rid of that. That attitude, that's not serving you. That way of being, you don't this and that. And he said, and one of the things that's this is all the people that you hate. And at that point, I mean, there was a time when I just hated my mother. I would drive all the way up from Long Island, saying it would be different this time. She said, you have to go and get a haircut and get a new coat or you can't come for Thanksgiving. Here's some money. And I tore the money up, threw it in her face, and drove back to Long Island. John Hart said, you got to go right. The first thing you do when you leave this class, you got to go find your mom. And as soon as you walk in the kitchen, just hug her until she stops shaking. And then say, smells good, what's for dinner? And I did just that. And then she said, you can't wear that stuff. This is an important event. You need to go and get a new suit of clothes. I said, no, I've got money. She said, all right, well then go get some clothes and come back. And I said, no, you're coming with me. She said, oh no, I have to fix it. I said, no, I'll help you with the dinner, but you need to come with me. She said, oh. I said, because I don't know exactly what you would like me to wear. She said, oh. So she got in. We drove to Lebanon, New Hampshire, went into Tom's Toggery, and I started looking through the suits and the three-piece suits. She said, come on over here. I went over, there was a sale rack, and on the sale rack was a nylon barn jacket with Providence Friars on it. It was really a basketball warm-up jacket. She said, I'm buying, this is what you need, she said. I went like, and she bought me that Providence Friars jacket. And that's what, I just couldn't, I still have that jacket. It's got battery acid burn holes in the arm. And Providence Friars, you can't even see that anymore. But that was the end of the war between my mother and I. She celebrated me and I celebrated her, and we had the time of our lives for the next, well, I guess, yeah, for the next 30 years. I could do no wrong. Because I realized, yes, and she said, go get your hair cut. And I said, okay, Who shall I have it cut? She said, Francoise, down in West Lebanon. Of course, when he looked at me, and he was this gay guy that ended up going to prison for something, and my father visited him and helped him get out of prison. But anyway, he looked at my curly hair and he said, you don't need a butch or anything. And he dolled me up with my snipped and made me this amazing curly-haired person. Of course, since he had done that, she couldn't disallow it or dislike it. So it came and she went, wonderful. I said, all right, cool. You know, she loved me so deeply that she just wanted me to be perfect in her image. And I just had to accept that that was just fine. It didn't change. So we began to dance together, and that's kind of the message of the class, is the clown nose is the circle that brings us all to dancing together. So I got off my position, looked at everything, and then I started to change. And I started to change with a vengeance. I started to take responsibility for my life. It took a long time of working at that. He said there are two types of people on the earth. There are the givers and the takers, and there's the lovers and the haters. And I went, I'm a taker and a hater. Oh, shit. So I just, I've been working on it ever since, and I'm still working on it. And it's just a dance. But you provide me such a blessing of an opportunity to just discuss these things. Tell me more now. I'll be quiet, and you just, yeah. I'm sorry, what?
How about a break for
Yes, we need a break.
Oh, you need a break. Yes, you do. All right. Yes, what? But two things first, and then break for coffee.
Who wrote that?
Beg your pardon?
Who wrote the poem that you recited?
Oh, that's Rudyard Kipling.
And what's
Rudyard
it
Kipling.
called?
It's called If.
If.
Yeah, everyone should have it on their wall. I have it on my bedroom wall, and I have it on my studio wall.
You have it in your head, too.
And yeah, I memorized it. In fact, John Hart once came to me one of the classes, and he went, I'm in trouble, Stevie. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, on the plane, I lost the If poem. And he would always give it to everybody. He went at the end of the poem, he had everybody close their eyes. And then he went around as he read the If poem, because he didn't memorize it, and everybody's eyes closed. And he would say, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and he'd go around the entire class, and by the time he got to the last stanza, he was on the last person.
Wow.
And then he'd say, now think about that for a moment, or 10, until my aides say it's time for you to open your eyes. And when the aides said, okay, open your eyes, he was gone. And he was always on his way to the airport. He didn't want any adulation. He didn't want to be anybody's guru or anything, which I suspected for a while. He was just in it for gain, but he wasn't. We became deep, close friends. He was one of my big mentors. But he hadn't brought the paper. And I said, stand by, just have a break. And I just sat down and wrote it all out for him. He said, thank you. And he read my writing. So, I mean, it's just, when you find something important, latch onto it. Latch onto it. Don't let it just go by. Notice it. Hold on to it. Take that risk. Put that nose on. Don't expect. See what happens. Interesting. Coffee. You want to make a collective choice here. There's another thing or two that I could show you, which are just plain fun, and a lot of the techniques that we've described in vocabulary are enclosed within. But I do think it probably would be at least good to review the vocabulary once and see if, would you like to do that, to see if you've got those things in your mind?
And then show them?
Then I can point them out, I guess, yeah. I get basically stale and pale and unresponsive faces. Everybody's just So we've reviewed them enough. Okay, so escalation or deflection or running gag, don't need to go through those. Okay, good, good, yes.
I like that you started the class by talking about
them all now.
the real overarching purpose of the whole thing, because we talked a lot about technique, and technique is important, but it's just how you do it. It's not why you're doing it and what you're doing.
Well said, well said. That has to do with the premise of life, the premise of the class. What is it? And I was asked, when you first called, you said, would you do a course for us on comedy? That was almost 3 years ago. And we started to think about this, okay? And everybody, you know, duh. We all know that from time to time we laugh. And we want to laugh, and we experience laughter, and we go to comedy or movie shows or whatever to laugh. But exactly what it has to do, bedrock, with the premise of our lives as human beings. And one of the questions was, why do we laugh? And subdividing underneath that, at what do we laugh? Why do we laugh, and in what? And why do we find some things funny, other things not funny? Is there something going on here? You're a performing clown. Come in and share some of that with us. So say, yeah, sure, well, I can give you a point of view that I have on it, and that's what we've kind of done. But it does, I mean, you've just opened my eyes a lot with your discussion earlier about the effect in your larger life, you know, taking risks, taking a closer look at judgment. John Hart always said you get two things. Everybody, or Stephen, you've got to take those black robes off and send them on a slow boat to China, and you got to shoot your white horse. It's not enough to get off your high horse, but you got to shoot the horse and take your robes off and burn them or whatever. In other words, I mean, who is it that just said this course? Well, life is really about love and forgiveness, and that course was about love and forgiveness. And he used to stand, you know, if Bonnie was over there and I was here, and she never was part of my turn because she couldn't be in the room, he would line in front of me everybody up as a surrogate representing my mother, my father, my grandmother, who let me, who stood beside and in the kitchen yelling at me that I was a big fat complainer until my appendix burst and I almost died, and my mother came in and went, oh my God, and we got to the hospital, and I was in the hospital for most of a month, tubes and everything, you know. So he put my grandmother, I have to forgive my grandmother, I have to forgive my mother, I have to give, you know, and he got everybody, and you knock them down one at a time until finally I'm standing face to face with Bonnie, ready to love her, and I hug her. It's a surrogate standing in for her, but I say yes, and I apologize for this and that, you know. So that's kind of what the process is, but that's just the psychology of it and the turning around. But, so you want to watch a little bit of something,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to laugh.
You want to laugh? All right. All right.
Turn the light off? Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Watch how he develops the premise. This is the finale of his act. He's worked hard, and so the premise is, I'm hungry. Deflection. Smell of steak? No, not steak. It's napkins. no. I'll read the directions. Oh God, they're all in Chinese. Oh no. Ah, discovery. Wait for it. See the little hold there for the audience to register. He's equating the chopsticks with the napkins. You're supposed to...
Delicious.
Oh. Oh. Forecasting. Reporting to the audience with his eyes.
Oh, gosh. Mouse is empty.
Okay, that's my director. What do you have to say about that? Huh?
I'd like to know, where did all those tissues go?
Right. When you ask him, how do you do that?
Yes, how do you do that?
You know what his response is? His response is, he looks around to see that there's nobody nearby you, and then he says, "Can you keep a secret?" And you say, "Yes, I can." And he says, "So can I." What? Yeah, so he's, let's see. So watch this. This tells you a certain amount about how that works. This is a selective attention test.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball.
Okay.
How many passes?
14.
The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla?
Yeah.
Some of you did.
That's when I lost count.
Yeah.
Silence and Christopher Chabris and is copyrighted. It is available for use.
So, raise of hands, honestly, how many of you saw the gorilla the first time? Okay, well, there's about a handful of you did, and a lot of you didn't. The first time I saw this, I didn't see the gorilla either. No, and so a lot of it does have to do with whether it's a crime scene and 3 people saw the crime, and they have 3 different stories about what happened, and it's also about your life in terms of selective retention, selective forgetting, selective observation. You know, a lot of forgiveness in going from the me to the we does have to do with saying, like John Hart used to say, there's 3 sides to every story. There's his side, her side, and the truth. And so when you begin to say, oh, it's not all about me, then you start to maybe watch and listen a little more carefully.
Can you redo that thing so we can see the gorilla, those of us who didn't?
Oh, well, they showed it to you. You again, but
When it was going fast, I mean.
oh well, no. I mean, then he went through. Okay, ready. All right. So here's there's the gorilla.
The correct answer is 15 passes.
They're going to rewind.
But did you see the gorilla?
So now they're just rewinding. Now they're going to do it again. Oh, you know, I'd have to start. All right, you want me to start?
That's okay.
I didn't see him beat his chest.
In the beginning.
I was too busy counting.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball.
So this is the first time you saw it. And you're counting. Let's see, it's 5, it's 6, 7.
6.
Don't watch the black. Sure, it's 8, 9. And the gorilla comes in, and you're so focused on the basketball that you don't see the gorilla. You're just not paying attention to that.
I wonder if the people who missed the gorilla had more accurate counts.
Some of us didn't count at all.
I didn't count for a long time.
That's 15.
Right.
I just didn't count.
This is a counter argument, and an advertisement should exist on all television stations. This is a counter argument that says, actually, against common wisdom, it is important for you to text while you drive. And talk on your cell phone as you're driving. All right, now, here, this is verbal comedy.
Highness King Roderick I, this royal tournament is officially begun.
Where's the black fox? What's the lady?
There's rain in the hills. Perhaps the river is swollen.
He'll be taking the coast road. You better have a look. Good start.
The first contest will be a battle to the death for the hand of the fair Gwendolen. It will be fought by Sir Griswold of Macklewain and Sir Giacomo of Italy. These two bold knights will choose weapons and enter upon the field of honor and fight in mortal combat until one of them lies dead.
And where are you alive?
No, they'd only catch me and kill me.
This has to do with escalation now and permutation.
There's nothing to forgive.
Dear Hogan.
Sir Giacomo, you should be in armor, and you may gain in the stands.
If I die, just pray that I die bravely.
You'll not die. You'll not have to fight him. Griswold dies as he drinks the toast.
What?
Listen, I have put a pellet of poison in one of the vessels.
Which one?
The one with the figure of a pestle.
The vessel with the pestle?
Yes, but you don't want the vessel with the pestle. You want the chalice from the palace.
I don't want the vessel with the pestle. I want the chalice from the what?
The chalice from the palace. It's a little crystal chalice with the figure of a palace.
Does the chalice from the palace have the pellet with the poison?
No, the pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle.
Or the pestle with the vessel?
The vessel with the pestle.
What about the palace from the chalice?
Not the palace from the chalice from the palace.
Where's the pellet with the poison?
In the vessel with the pestle.
Don't you see? The pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle.
The chalice from the palace has the brew that is true.
So easy, I can say it.
Well, then you fight him.
Listen, careful. The pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle. The chalice from the palace has the brew that is true.
Or the pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle. The chalice with the palace has the brew that is true.
Good man.
Just remember that.
Sir Giacomo. Sir Giacomo, into your armor. And you to your place in the pavilion.
Pellet with the poison. The pellet with the poison is in the vessel with the pestle. The chalice from the palace is the true that is brewed. Brew that is true. The pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle. The chalice from the palace has the true that is brewed. Brew that is true. The chessel with the palace. The palace with the...
Look out.
Hurry now, get into your armor.
So that's a premise.
The pestle with... The pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle. The palace from the chalice is the brew that is blue. No. The pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle. The pellet with the... The pellet with the poisons in the vessel with the plazzle. The plazzle with the vessel. The vessel with the poison is the plazzle with the...
Magic is waiting.
Vessel with the poison.
And take your helmet.
The pellet with the poison is from the chalice with the plazzle.
Oh, my dear, it's nice to see you.
I've got it. I've got it. Pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle. The chalice from the palace is the brew that is true, right?
Right, but there's been a change. They broke the chalice from the palace.
They broke the chalice from the palace?
And replaced it with a flagon.
A flagon.
With the figure of a dragon.
Flagon with a dragon.
Right.
But did you put the pellet with the poison in the vessel with the pestle?
No. The pellet with the poison's in the flagon with the dragon. The vessel with the pestle has the brew that is true.
The pellet with the poison's in the flagon with the dragon. The vessel with the pestle has the brew that is true.
Just remember that.
Yes, thank you very much. The pellet with the chassis. The pellet with the poison is in the pathway with the chassis. Just remember that.
Where are the drinks? One of them is poisoned.
Poison? Are you sure?
I had the witch.
The poison with the Presley is the chalice with the...
Pellet with the poisons and the flagon with the dragon. The pestle with the pistol. The pistol with the pistol.
No.
The pellet with the Presley is the chalice with the...
Vessel with the pestle. The vessel with the pestle has the brew, that is true.
Right, don't forget it.
The pellet with the dragon.
The knights will approach each other.
Pellet with the poison is in the flagon with the chalice.
Poison is in the dragon with the pestle.
The chasel is in the poison with the flawless with the flagos.
The pellet with the dragon and the pestle with the poison.
The Presley with the poison, the plasma with the pestle, the poison with the plasma, the plasma with the poison, the chalice with the flagon with the chalice, the poison with the flagon and the chalice with the poison.
The knights will face the king.
With the the chalice is the
They will approach the royal pavilion.
pellet with the poisons in the flagon with the dragon.
The vessel with the pestle has the brew that is true.
Oh, you got the wrong one.
Stop this mockery. There will be no toast. Put them to horse, let them choose weapons, and fight.
This is the black fox, and still playing the fool.
Declare choice of weapon.
Mace and chain.
Sir Giacomo, declare choice of weapon.
I'll take one of those, a couple of those. I better take them all.
Mace and chain for him too. Charge! Take that horse and put it back under that idiot. Unfasten that person. Charge!
All right, Sir Griswold, prepare to die.
Go ahead, Sir Knight. Slay me. You are in fair combat. Strike!
Let rivers of blood wash away the stain of my disgrace.
Go on! Spew the field with my dishonored guts!
No. No, I cannot slay a man whose only crime is that he loved not too wisely, but too well. I grant your life. Take your men and go!
Okay. All right, so there's a lot of stuff in both of those with Avner and also
Too much.
yeah. So you know, again, there's a lot at play there, where they're not only taking the premise of the verbiage and then permutating that, but then giving it to his opponent as well, and then just when they're both, you know what we said, the basic thing of comedy was there's a problem, the laws, the five lovable truths, there's a problem, there's a solution to the problem, I can find the solution, I found it, ta-da, whoops, pie in the face, new problem. And it just gets worse and worse and worse, and that's what happens with deflections and the unexpected and the premise and then the running gags and all those sorts of things. And Avner's this farce in the sense that he takes you know, an what do you say it, not an unconstitutional, a ridiculous premise, but takes it to its logical, an illogical premise and takes it to its logical conclusion, all the way to, he doesn't just finish and go ta-da, but then he takes the whole thing out, including having a strip of red where the wine was, and all, you know, everything is absolutely thought out. But there's a lot of breath and weight, and then bing, and that one. So the timing of it, leaving you in the suspension and all that. So anyway, I love you desperately and dearly. Thank you, everybody. Have a peaceful and productive comic life. Yay! Oh, and by the way, do come to see my production of Sound of Music. It opens on December 4 and plays Thursday through Sunday for 2 weeks, closes on the 14th. Also, if there are any of you that are thinking of an organization worthy of your request, NYT is a worthy organization that needs your loving support as we are building the leaders of the future. Okay? So just get in touch with me or NYT and give generously and give often. I'll see you around the block. Be well. Take care.